You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs. Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protests. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all, because the law allows the police to use force when other people's lives are in danger.
Surely there are ways of doing that without using live ammunition.
That is according to you. I think the police know what they need to do. And the police, by the way, understand that it is within their purview. That is why when I came into office, I ensured that the police was independent. The police carried out their responsibilities independently.
Well, you say independent. You're telling the police to shoot protesters in the legs. That sounds like you're ordering the police.
No, there is nowhere in the law that allows me to order the police.
The oldest newspaper in Kenya, The Standard, had on its front page Rogue Ruto, and you stopped live media coverage, or tried to, of these protests. Kenya's known for its freedom of media. It's one of the great beacons of free media in Kenya. People I've spoken to, young Kenyans, say they are worried now. The most deadly war right now on the continent is the war in Sudan, and you know that the Sudanese army claim that your country is supporting the other side, the rapid support forces. I mean, you had a meeting in February with the RSF and some of its allies. They signed a declaration to create a parallel government. The RSF recently took Al-Fasher in Darfur in Western Sudan, and the UN says there were summary executions, there were murders, there were rapes. Are you worried Kenya's going to be seen to be on the wrong side of history here?
Not at all. Kenya is a great democratic country. We are the only place in East and Central Africa where people can come and meet freely from every part of the world. And the meeting that was there in Kenya was a meeting of the civil society, meeting of church groups, meeting of Muslim leaders, meeting of women. And they were having a conversation about their country in Sudan. Such meetings have been held in Tripoli, such meetings have been held in Addis.
But there are also allegations that you're involved in getting arms to the RSF. The Sudanese army says you're involved with the UAE and you're shipping arms to them.
That is absolutely false. I can tell you for a fact that Kenya, being a democratic country, we're often accused. DRC accused us, or you were in, there were people meeting in Nairobi. There are people meeting in Nairobi. Sometimes I don't even know they are meeting in Nairobi, because we are a free and democratic country. We do not ban people from coming to Nairobi. We just deal with criminals. But people who are chasing civil liberties, people who are looking for space to express themselves. We have close to 1,000 journalists in Nairobi, including Al Jazeera, right? So that's the only place people can find space to speak about their issues. And to Sudan, I hold the position that both RSF and SAF are cut from the same cloth. They are a product of an overthrow of a people's government. And therefore, you cannot say anything different between SAF and RSF. And by the way, my position is that these two generals have no solution for Sudan, because both of them believe in solving a problem using military means, which is not a security problem. This is a governance problem.
Mr. President, we focused on what's been going on the continent in this interview, but it would be wrong, I think, for me not to divert to another part of the world where Kenya got involved, took, I think, quite a brave decision to get involved in Haiti, where the gangs are out of control. And despite your involvement, really, nothing has changed.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you are faring well where you are. And if you're not faring well, please fare well where you are. I'm telling you, we have news, hot news. It's now trending online. An interview between our president of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and an Al Jazeera journalist, a white journalist, interviewing a black president, an African leader, right? But is Ruto a leader or a politician? Which makes me think, I think he's more on a politician side than he is on the leadership side. I'm saying this based on the answers that he was giving, right? You know that we had a very, very massive protest last year when the Gen Z were protesting against the financial bill or the finance bill 2024, which was draconic. It was very predatory. It was going to harm more than it was going to give good, if there was any good, right? So in the interview, President Ruto reveals his real intentions, right? He doesn't fear. He sees himself as the most powerful man, a man above the law, a man above laws that have been set even by the international community, even by the UN, even by the ICC. Remember, this same Ruto was accused and he was arraigned in the ICJ, International Court of Justice in Netherlands. Back then, they were being judged by a man called Moreno Ocampo, right? President Ruto, the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, they were both arraigned for the killing of some of the people who were, they were arraigned for the organizing of the 2007 post-election violence in Kenya. So that Ruto who was arraigned in ICJ is still the same Ruto we experience today. And for me to prove that to you, I want us to dive into this video, listen to President Ruto himself, expose himself, right? I shall get back by the end of the video, of course, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. And let's dive in.
You said you were going to unify the country. You were a consensus builder. Now, I look at the headlines now. I've seen some headlines saying you're the most unpopular president in Kenya. To be fair, I've not found polls to back that up. But if I do look at the polls, your popularity has slumped. Why?
It's the nature of politics. When you get into office, there is stuff to be done. You know, people's expectations are high. Many people expect things to happen immediately, but it takes time to fix up stuff. If you look at the 3 years I've been in office, I did make commitments to the people of Kenya, huge commitments, many pledges. And it is the basis upon which the expectations of the people of Kenya have been very high. Have I met those expectations? I can confidently tell you that on a scale of 1 to 10, I have done 8. And I've done 8, let me just give you a rundown of 3 or 4 or 5 issues. Number 1, I have fixed the economy. Kenya is now listed as the 6th largest economy in Africa because of the steps I have taken. And our stock exchange was voted the best stock exchange in Africa. So we have fixed the economy. Number 2, we have fixed agriculture. Today, we have increased the production of maize by 50%, from 44 million bags every year to now close to 70 million bags last year. We have reformed the sugar sector. We are well on the way to being self-sufficient in sugar. Number 3, we have fixed the education system. The education system was in shambles. I've hired 100,000 more teachers, built 23,000 more classrooms, and rolled out a new student funding model that now has made all our universities sustainable. Number 4, I did promise that I would fix the health sector. We had 8 million people on social health insurance. Today we have 27.2 million people. We have improved services in hospitals. We are getting more medicine to hospital. We are getting more workers to hospital. We are getting more equipment to hospitals. And finally, the big elephant of unemployment. You know, many young people voted for me because unemployment has never been fixed in Kenya. And for decades, the biggest problem we have is 5% of our population have no jobs. And as a result, we have millions of young people that get out of college, school, and universities that have no jobs. What have I done? 4 things. Number 1, I rolled out the largest infrastructure development in Kenya, targeting housing. We're now building 230,000 houses hiring 600,000 young people, on to 1 million young people next year. We've rolled out a program on digital jobs, expanding our fiber optic connectivity around the country, setting up ICT hubs, what we call Ajira centers, business process outsourcing. Today we are hiring 180,000 young people in our digital job ecosystem. And number 3, export of labor. We have signed up bilateral labor agreements with many countries, Germany, Austria, this great country, Qatar, UAE, Saudi. And today, as I talk to you, 3 years on, 430,000 Kenyans are working outside Kenya because of the plan I've put in place.
You have presented a very comprehensive picture of what you say are your achievements. You talked a lot there about young people.
Correct.
But the young people don't all seem to share that rosy assessment of where things are. You've mentioned protests about food prices in 2023. There were protests again, large protests in 2024, and again this summer in 2025. Those protests in June spread, met with a most violent crackdown. 65 people died in the clashes. Was that mishandled?
There are many aspects of that protest. There are people who genuinely are there to express their opinions, different opinions, but there are also criminal elements, people who come to burn down buildings, destroy properties, steal from all manner of places, supermarkets, and many of those. And the public itself, by the way, the public went up in arms because they said, these are not protests, this is looting. This is criminality. And we have had to balance. The police have had to balance between dealing with violent criminals on one end and also managing protests.
You didn't leave it to the police force, did you? You got directly involved. You told at one point police to shoot protesters in the legs. Surely live fire is not something that should be used in protests. Do you regret those comments?
I don't regret those comments at all, because the law allows the police to use force when other people's lives are in danger.
Surely there are ways of doing that without using live ammunition.
That is according to you. I think the police know what they need to do. And the police, by the way, understand that it is within their purview. That is why when I came into office, I ensured that the police was independent. The police carried out their responsibilities independently.
Well, you say independent. You're telling the police to shoot protesters in the legs. That sounds like you're ordering the police.
No, there is nowhere in the law that allows me to order the police.
The oldest newspaper in Kenya, The Standard, had on its front page "Rogue Ruto." And you stopped live media coverage, or tried to, of these protests. Kenya's known for its freedom of media. It's one of the great beacons of free media in Kenya. People I've spoken to, young Kenyans, say they are worried now about censorship in your country.
I don't think so. I mean, you yourself just said tried, because it never happened. I mean, media is independent in Kenya. They write all manner of stuff. I think what you've just said, rogue, is one of the mildest. They say all manner of things about me. They say all manner of things about other people. I don't agree with what they write. I don't agree with what they say. But they have the right to say it, whichever way they want. They are also free to lie and to churn out falsehood. I mean, it's up to their conscience to write the right thing. But the people of Kenya ultimately will make an assessment of who has exceeded, who has not, who has done the right thing, who has not.
Let's look at some of the grievances of the protesters. This latest protest followed the death of a blogger who was a teacher who died in police custody. Initially the police said he'd hit his head on a cell wall. I mean, it was unacceptable for someone to die in police custody. It was unacceptable to have a cover-up, was it not?
That's correct. And that is why the police who are involved in that particular incident today are behind bars.
But is there a wider issue of police brutality in Kenya?
There is, we have a police force of 110,000. You will not miss elements within the police who are rogue and As and when we identify the rogue ones, we deal with them. Like in this particular case, when it was discovered that what they told the country was not right, the correct investigations were done, and those who are involved have been brought to book. So we will continue to make sure that the police, of course, majority of the police, know what they are doing.
The other thing protesters talk about is what human rights groups call enforced disappearances. 2024, it's reported more than 80 people, critics of the government, disappeared. You've got them?
I can tell you, none of those people. I have told them. I have told people who claim that so-and-so has disappeared to step forward and tell the country who are these, when were they abducted, and many of the stories that you hear are people who when you tell them to come out, they don't. They just want to make general statements. And I'm telling you, we are coming from a dangerous background where, forget about people disappearing, where bodies were recovered from all manner of places in the past. Today, there are no incidences of Kenyans that are executed. I committed to the country that I would stop it, and I did.
The other thing they complain about, the protesters, is corruption. What are you doing?
Absolutely everything. I did sign the law that prohibits public officers to participate in doing business with government, what we call the Conflict of Interest Bill. Now it is law. I did sign this into law 3 months ago. We have deployed additional resources to the Anti-Corruption Agency. We have deployed additional resources to the Director of Public Prosecution. We have hired more judges. I think I have hired the most judges than any president in 3 years to make sure that the criminal justice system, the judiciary, is properly enabled to deal with all manner of issues, especially corruption.
Now, the protesters are all young. They're the Gen Z. They are the people who led were the engine of your campaign. And you've lost a lot of those people who were fighting for you and believed you were the man to deliver change. Can you regain their trust, do you think?
They have since discovered that every commitment I made, including how to empower the young people, from education to creating jobs, to making sure that there is health, to making sure that we have food, I have kept my commitment. And the entire country today, many people will tell you, the debate is no longer whether William Ruto has delivered. That debate is closed.
Mr. President, I accept what you're saying, but it doesn't match the polling of Kenyans. A recent poll said 62% of Kenyans feel the country is heading in the wrong direction.
Those are polls that, they are different polls by different pollsters. You yourself have said that you do not have the backing of any reasonable objective poll on these subjects. I will tell you, in the last election, the polls showed that I was never going to win the election. I won. So there is a world of a difference between what you see and what you get.
We've talked about the economy, and that's one of the reasons protesters are unhappy, but certainly the official figures show that there is now sustained economic growth. You are here in Doha, where there's an important meeting that's been taking place about trying to reduce poverty and inequality. Do you feel that much has been achieved here?
Yes, I think the international solidarity around matters development, social development, education, health, social protection. You know, these are critical elements of the social fabric of society. It is unfortunate that we are.
And so now, after clearly listening to President Ruto give his absurd answers, here's my deep critical analysis. See, when I hear President Ruto speaking, I am saddened. I am saddened for the state of Africa. I am saddened because East Africans are always looking at Kenya as an example. East African countries, Rwanda, Burundi, we have DRC now, we have Tanzania, Uganda. These countries are always looking at us as an example because Kenya is the most developed out of all these East African countries. Yes, but the democracy in Kenya is better. Better, I'm not saying good, it's better than the rest of the East African communities. Because East Africa, we have very bad presidents. We have very poor leadership. I mean, look at Tanzania right now. What do you see in Tanzania? Almost, reports are saying almost 23,000 are unalived. 23,000 people. Even the post-election violence of this same Ruto we were watching did not happen like that. Like, he didn't reach that level. But that woman has really set standards for dictatorship, right? And that's East African leadership. Now, let's move to Uganda. Look at the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. How long has he stayed in power? Very long. I can't even remember when. I was very young. When I started hearing he was the president, very, very young was I. Up to date, he's still the president. I think he's 20 years going onwards. Someone wants to die in the seat of power, right? And this is not leadership. This is not leadership. This is propaganda. This is oligarchy. This is dictatorship. This is aristocracy. Right? So, for you yourself, I've still not gotten into Ruto. For you yourself to think that no one else can rule apart from you makes you become a dictator, right? But let me tell you one thing. Humans, we have expiry dates. Humans, we are born, and as long as you are born, you will surely die. No matter how many people you've killed while you are alive, while you are in power, your day shall also come, right? I'm speaking this based on what I have seen, based on the scriptures. It is appointed to man that he should die, that he must die. Yes. So, when we have an understanding that we have finite, not infinite, but a finite time in this world, that should be a motivation to help us do good. That should be a motivation to enable us live well, have good leadership, right? Now, back to President Ruto. Sorry for deviating. Ruto is my president, right? And you can see clearly that journalist was not happy. You see, how do you use live ammunition on your citizens? How? When he is asked, he's saying, it's okay. It's okay. The police know what to do. You see? These people are bypassing the legislature and they are bypassing the judiciary, the powers of the judiciary, and overriding it, and then shifting all that weight to the executive. The executive is the one which has the police now. The ones who fire, who do what? You see? The dogs of the police, the dogs of the government is the executive. So the executive is the one which has a voice in Kenya, but the judiciary does not have any voice, right? Even if these people were to be reported, there is nowhere else they would be taken because the judiciary is toothless, right? It would take a very, very, very strong case to apprehend them. But I don't see that happening. Hopefully, justice should reign one day. But you who was given birth to say that someone else's child deserves to be shot either on the leg or anywhere else makes you become not a good person. In fact, makes you not become a good parent. There's no parents whom their children were killed, they are not happy with you. They are really not happy, right? So I'm looking back right now and I'm seeing that the man who died, the leader, he was now a leader. That one was a leader, Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga was a leader, right? And he fought for the liberation of Kenya as a country. He fought so that we can have multipartism. He fought that I can now make this video and speak right now without worry. Back then, it wasn't that easy. Back then, it was ruling by the iron fist. The iron fist is the one that ruled. Today things are different because of reformists. We need leaders that are reformist. We need leaders that think of others more than themselves. Actually, it is the citizens that have employed you. The leader should serve the people, right? And the legal law or the law was established in faith that people will follow it. Otherwise, if we don't have law enforcement that reinforces the law to protect the citizen, then the law is nothing. Because if the law is not enforced, the law becomes just a statement. Like I can just go and write, do not piss, do not poop here. But if it is not enforced, it is just a writing by a random person. So it needs to be enforced. But now we have weakness in the judiciary because the powers of the judiciary has been limited. The powers has been given to the executive. And that is what is happening in any dictatorial state, right? Look at Tanzania, a good example. She does not respect any human right, in what way whatsoever. The video of Tanzania is one very different one. But I'm just mad, you know? I'm pissed off by all this, right? So this is why I'm telling you, black people, again, I might change my mind. If you might want to come to Africa, please reconsider and again revise your thoughts on Kenya. Do not reconsider, revise your thoughts on coming to any East African country. East Africa is becoming more and more hostile. Yes, East Africa is becoming more and more hostile. Our leaders might entice you to come, the cradle of mankind. No, it is not. Take it from someone who lives here. It is not. It is not. People are being abducted up and down. This and that happens. Right? A true leader that I once knew was Raila Amolo Odinga, a man with whom had privilege but did not use his privilege. He was born in a rich life, but he never lived a rich life as he was supposed to, because he cared about the citizens' rights. Yes. I hope someday our presidents might change their mind and become better people in the society. Yes. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm stopping here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Stay positive.